Buena Park is in the building. Buena Park? What's the deal? Nothing but the homies out there. Nothing but the homies. What's up with the homies?
Who poppin', we poppin', we major.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the show where anything goes. You're tuned in to the Centerlocked show. It's your host, Mark Vargas, and we got a very, very special guest in the building today. Though the one and only Cedric Dashiell from Bentley University. Everybody, welcome Cedric to the show.
What's up, everybody? Nice to be here. What's up, Mark, my guy?
Hey, what up, Cedric, man? How you doing, bro? Like, how's everything? How's life treating you?
Life has been pretty good. Been a good summer so far. I've been, grinding up here in Boston with the team. Gone to a few different states for some good fun. Just enjoying the summer, enjoying the time we had. Lost the whole year to COVID, so I feel like it's just been a good year to just make some memories and stuff.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. So you say you're in Boston. So any catch any Red Sox games or any any hockey games out there? Or
Nah, I was supposed to go to a Red Sox game like a few weeks ago, but the plans kind of fell through. I'm never going to a Celtics game. That's just out. And then hockey, I'll have to see about that. Our hockey team's D1, so we go to those games kind of often. But yeah, I might have to go to a Bruins game once.
yeah, man. I mean, enjoy it while you're out there. I know everything's a little hectic with COVID going on right now, and I know you gotta we'll get into it, but I know you got a plan with your team this year with the program, and everybody has to be ready to go once the season comes around. But that being said, let's get into it. I know everybody's here tuning in wants to know about the life of Cedi, the steps that it took to get you where you're at now, and yeah, man, let's do it. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's get to it.
All right, man. First question I always ask everybody is, when did you start playing ball?
When I was like 5, I remember I played for the Bellflower Broncos. That's exactly how I started. A little program on the baseball field as a must play back in the day.
Oh man, but we all have to start somewhere. So you started at Bellflower. Everybody that knows a little bit about you, the ones that don't, tell them about your experience with being a multi-sport athlete.
So my dad and my mom we couldn't just sit around the house, so they wanted to find me something to do. So they threw us into all the sports. Tried out water polo, baseball. I played baseball for a little bit when I was younger. Track. I ran track till I was like 10. Always been a hooper. For those of you that don't know, I was a hooper. But football was kind of the thing that stuck. But being a multi-sport athlete, especially like as I got older, was definitely it definitely helped me stay in shape and like just a fun thing overall.
I mean, for at least our experiences together. I mean, always seeing you in a different sport, basically every 3 months you were in something new. But it always, to me, I mean, you were always doing a little bit of everything. I mean, when football season was around, you were mainly focused on football. But when you were in basketball season, you were doing basketball stuff, but you were still lifting for football. You still were getting right for that season. And it's just, for me, and I'm sure our guests know already, it's a positive thing to me, is taking that rest from being such a contact sport in football, and then switching to basketball, which for the guys down low, it is still a contact sport, but not at the same level. But being able to move around, use different muscles, it's all, especially now when we get a little bit older and we look at the science behind it, it's a positive thing. And just shout out to your pops and your mom for always making sure you and your bro were doing more than one at the time. And I mean, part of the reason why you're at where you're at now is because of that,
Yeah, I mean, the science behind it definitely backs it up. I think also just still being able to compete. But I think the thing about, because I remember Mr. Bench used to always say, you go from playing outside linebacker in football to playing point guard in basketball for like the first 2 years of high school. But I don't even remember like playing the game so much as the interaction with like the fans and like, sophomore year, the whiteout and stuff like that. Like it just, playing basketball, you kind of just miss being so close to the fans. But I think, my parents, God definitely gave them the foresight to make us try out a bunch of stuff, and we did. And, football is just kind of the thing that stuck. It was always my number one. It was always going to be my number one. But, playing basketball, I definitely like had a great time. It was just a fun sport.
And we'll get into that dynamic right now about how, people that know your situation know that your pops was always played a major role in whatever you were doing, when it came to sports. Um, and how, like, for me, there's not a lot of people like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that don't have that guidance, don't have that support from their family when it comes to something that they love. You clearly love football, you clearly love basketball. And to me, it was always your dad was supporting you and helping you reach whatever you wanted to be. So, like, can you go into a little bit of detail about how, like, we're having, people our age, a little bit older, having become parents for the first time, and there's little people we know that are older
Yeah.
than us, and their kids are coming into that zone of whether it's a junior high or whether it's a freshman football, basketball, whatever it is. Like, what's a good balance? You know what I mean?
So ESPN just went off.
Eh,
So I think one of the things, not one of the things, the two things my dad was always God first, and no matter what we do, we put the work in. So like if I wanted to be a cellist, I could have been the best cellist that I could have been. That was like the point was to put the work in. So like I said, I started out as a must play. And even for basketball, like I never started out good. My dad was always just like, put the work in, put the time in, put the time in, you reap what you sow. So, even like one of the things that he taught me was like the discipline of like putting in the work when you don't want to put in the work. Because there's a lot of days and a lot of nights where I gotta stretch or like roll out or like I gotta go back and like do some extra running and I really don't want to do it. And it's just the putting in the work over time, like it all shows up. And I think that's a lesson that he just really ingrained in me. Like you got to put in the work, So it definitely showed up. That would be my dad's like second biggest lesson is you always got to put in the work.
How appreciative are you to have that, that experience with your pops, and just, being around that for basically, I mean, your whole life?
I think when I was in high school, I hated it. I was like, yo, like I'm tired all the time. Like, you know how it is, bro. We woke up 6:30 in the morning. I gotta be here. I gotta go to BP, walk across the street, lift weights for an hour. I gotta hit the spray with the deodorant, go to class, get over 3.5 and all in class. That's hard. And then I say I want to be elite, so I gotta put in the extra work behind the scenes. Like I'm tired. And then I think when I got to college, like sophomore year of college, it just kind of like you're playing, you're not playing as well as you want. Like I was having like an okay season, but like I had like a bad game, and I called my dad, and my dad was like, "You're not putting in the work," and I think that was where it clicked. It was like, oh, okay, like, and then I understood the lesson. Obviously, you kind of understand things more as you go on, but then I understood the lesson. Like, okay, the work has to be put in, and I think that's what made me really appreciate it. And me and my dad's relationship is totally different. I go to him for everything. We talk about all kind of stuff, and I think now that I'm older, I'm 22 now, I can see like, okay, putting in the work, like it might be hard, but like the results at the end are so much better. And I think that's where like all that comes into play.
No, absolutely, man. Shout out to pops. From day one. I mean, when we first met, I mean, he was right there in the back. Hey, he said, you make sure you run that extra lap or whatever it was. Do that extra rep. And I mean, we'll get into further about what that means, putting that extra rep in. But shout out to pops, shout out to moms for always taking care of you and your bro, man.
Yeah, shout out to my mom. I don't want to leave it out. Mom's is there for the emotional support. And I know she's gonna see this. She's like, why are you talking about me? But mom's always there for the emotional support. So however hard my dad was in athletics, mom's equally as hard in academics, and she still is. She'd be on my case now, especially about like making sure things are taken care of, grooming myself. Because you guys know, like, like me, like my outfits and like stuff like that, like being presentable, all that stuff. All the motherly stuff, she does a great job with. So shout out to moms. Don't forget about your moms, fellas.
Absolutely. Shout out to moms. So with your parents' support, you doing a little bit of everything. When did you know that, I guess, football was all right? That's my go-to. You know what I mean?
I think it ranged, but I think 9 was like the first day I was like, all right, I want to be a football player. Like I've always wanted to play pro. I've never hit from that. Like I've always wanted to play pro, be the best of the best in the pro leagues, in the NFL. But I think when I was 9 and then when I was 13, when I was 9, I was like, I want to be like a football player. When I was 13, I was like, okay, football is my main sport, and this is what I want to do. So like even like doing other sports, like playing basketball. Like basketball was like secondary. When I was like 9 to 13, I wanted to play in the NBA and the NFL. When I was 13, I was like, nah, like football is my thing. I'm gonna stick with that. I think that's where it just all came together.
All right. So I mean, everybody has those dreams. You know what I mean? It's being around. I mean, we're both coming from an athletic, not background, but just more so like we were raised in sports and having, watching whether it was the Laker game on TV, whether it was the NFL on Sunday, Monday, whatever it was, like being a kid raised in sports, like that's your dream.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to high school, you know what I mean? Young Seti growing up on the scene. I think so. For a little bit context, I think I met you. I was a sophomore or junior. I think I was a junior, or actually, I was sophomore year, end of my sophomore year. You were end of, but you're an eighth grader, right? Still, you were the end of the eighth grade year.
Yeah. I remember those. Yeah, I remember those days.
I remember you were pulling up with Anthony to I think I saw you at the Westminster game, or something like that. You were eighth grade. You're like, yeah, I'm about to come to Buena Park. And I was like, oh, for sure. Like you're telling me a little bit about, your little background and this and that. And I was like, oh yeah, man, this dude's gonna be a baller. Little did I know, I mean, you were gonna be one of the top ballers in the history of Buena Park, football. Um, be honest. I mean, you are the leading statistic leader in tackles for loss, defensive points, sacks. I mean, probably fumble recoveries, whatever the defensive stat is besides maybe interceptions and pass breakups. I mean, you're probably up there in the top 5. Like, how does that feel? To think about just our time there when Coach White's era, but even then, how many alums were coming by and meeting us and telling us their situation. How does that feel to be, really like you're in the same breath as Jalen, the same breath as Nick, the same breath as, Jesse Gomez, some of these players that are phenomenal. You know what I mean?
So, all right, I'm gonna just touch on the whole thing. You brought up 8th grade. If you would have told me in 8th grade that I would be a statistical leader in a bunch of stuff, I'd have been like, you're crazy. Like, there's no way. Because I remember coming in 8th grade and having to do one-on-one with Kevin Dixon and Braxton, and then then we do 3, then PTT. That's when PTT is like really big in the area. Now we got to do 3-on-3s. So I'm in 8th grade, I'm 13, trying to do a swim move against you. And then I get hit in the chest by Ronald Bell. And now I'm chasing around Braxton in this little cone area. And like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to, and just being told like, oh, like, you're going to play varsity on a Friday as a freshman. I just played a freshman game on Thursday. I think my first game was against St. Paul, and I had a pretty good game. But the idea of like playing varsity, most of the time as a freshman, you just go to dress. It didn't really click. And I don't even think it really clicked that I was like leading in a bunch of stuff till like I graduated and went to college, and people looked you up and they're like, oh, like you did like all this stuff. And I just kind of I like now looking back, like I had a great career. I wish I could have played better in a lot of games, a lot of like all the plays you missed. But I think being in the breath with like Jalen and like even like Seawall, who's like playing pro, and like Nick Needham and like Braxton, like you, Cifuentes, like Max Rivera, Zach Taylor, Ryan, Kevin Dixon. Like we like in our era from your sophomore year, even like Tofan Siope, guys would be like thrown on the wayside. Like from your sophomore year to like my senior year, like there's so much talent that we had on those teams. And I think it's always cool to see everybody doing well. Like Tariq, Jeremiah, and Gates, graduate guys all going to different schools, and seeing Andrew Wright graduate, going to play D1 at Fresno State. And I remember he couldn't even get on the field like his sophomore year, but then his senior year, he blows up, has 11.5 sacks. And then we have guys like, who else am I forgetting? Guys that transferred in, like Devin Cooley, who coming out, he's balling at Weber State, or AJ, who went to, like, it's just so much.
Robert Corner.
Yeah, exactly. Like Rob playing at UTEP. Like Devin Boston playing at UTEP, JoJo going to print. Like it was so much talent that you're around on a daily basis that I just, thinking about it now is like, in hindsight, is like, wow, like we were really talented. Like I'll hit up Ames every once in a while. I'm like, yo, bro, like how do we lose any games?
Yeah.
The talent we had was just, it was always fun. We always had fun on the field, but like we just had so much talent. I think people really don't understand how talented those 5 to 6 years really were.
I always say this. I go, if Friday Night Lights was not made, they could make that movie about our situation, or at least Coach White coming in, flipping the whole program to where it was, you know what I mean? And shout out to Coach David Prado now with the program at Buena Park. They're gonna do great things. He's a hell of a coach, hell of a leader, and he'll get the program back to where it needs to be. But where we were at, like we were doing things 6 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
7 sometimes, and it was nothing that the coaches were putting on us. It was just voluntary stuff. We all had that mindset. We all wanted to be better. You know what I mean? Whether it was better today, better tomorrow. I mean, it was just a constant thing. If I wasn't gonna put that work in, I know you were, and then if you put that work in and you beat me, I'm gonna hear it. You know what I mean? Like it was just that constant back and forth.
Yeah. I think one thing that was really people really underestimated from those eras was like we had obviously we wanted to win championships and all that, but we had one goal, and that was really to beat La Habra. And I think especially your senior year and like my senior year, it was like because I remember freshman year seeing how devastated everybody was. Not only to lose to La Habra 20, they were supposed to blow us out the water, and I didn't play that game, but to lose them 21-14 and like that initial shot, like, bro, we should have beat them. Like, we should have beat that team. And that team had great games, was like in the NFL, and Eric Barrier, who's about to be in the league, and they had a bunch of talent, but we were right there.
Oh, Lobodon.
Exactly. Like people like would look at if you look at that team and compare it to our team, like the talent's not like we could probably say we have more talent on the field. And so I think because we want to be La Habra so bad, like especially your senior, I just remember like after we lost at Villa Park, like just being devastated, like, yo, like we had all this talent, and seeing Nick Needham like bawling his eyes out on the field, and Boston and Jesse and Ronald Bell and Braxton like and like even Delvon like all crying on the field, and see your senior year being like it's not gonna be the same feeling, and going into that off season, going to being a sophomore, now you got your legs on you a little bit and hitting the ground running, and it was just that sophomore year season was something different. That's one of my favorite football seasons ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like you said. I mean, it was a bunch of individuals that came together, and there was for how many different characters we had on the team, and we had a lot. Even our coaches. Shout out to Coach White. Shout out to Coach Goog. Shout out to Coach Hayes.
Coach Billy, who else?
Coach Lowe.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Coach, everybody. If I didn't say your name, I'm trying to Coach Banner. Can't forget about where's the juice.
Oh yeah, where's your profession, Coach Banner? That's my guy.
But for how many different individual characteristics we had, we were on the same page everywhere. We took a left step, everybody took a left step. And it was, I mean, to really see that, I mean, it was something special. I mean, we came up with short of both our goals, to beat La Habra and to win a ship. But I think we accomplished something that, you know what, if you say that we had this brotherhood, if we didn't win both those games, or, we win both those games and we don't have this brotherhood, I'm not winning those games. You know what I mean? Just straight up, like, there's really like brothers, like people always, oh, that's my brother, you know what I mean? But like, really, for how much time we spent, like, we were seeing each other more than we were really seeing our family at times. You know what I mean?
I remember that sophomore year, and I remember we walked onto the practice field, like I think the first day of practice. And we were looking around like, yo, like we're finna win league. And obviously we didn't know what they were gonna do. First of all, the league screwed us. They suspended Tofal for six games. It was just so convenient that the sixth game was the game we played La Habra. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like they definitely knew what they were doing. But I think even that playoff run, who do we play first? Getting matched up with Cyprus and playing Quentin Pounds in that first game, like a thriller, like a nail biter game. And that's when like everybody was balling out on both sides of the ball. I think I had 4 shots a game. Topa had like 3.5. Siope had like 2. Like the offense was putting up crazy points, and like playing against Quentin Pounds, like a dude that talented. To then like the next week being like, you guys got Villa Park. And it's like, for real, like we get to redeem ourselves. Like I just remember there were 2 2 weeks from that season, I remember the week going into Valhalla. I remember everybody being amped up, and we lost that game by a touchdown on a fluke play. Shout out to my boy EB, but that play to begin the game where he rolled off, he was definitely down. But then going into that Villa Park week,
Hey, I had him last week, and my boy said his knee wasn't down. He was up. I said, look, I don't care what anybody says. You can come after me. You guys already know what it is. How I bleed, Coyote Green. But he had an angle. I'm telling you, I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna show it.
If you find the photo, send it to me and I'll concede. But man, I think he was down. But that boy is nice. So I ain't even gonna fret. Like he was like that. But that Villa Park week, I think that Villa Park week was the hardest I've ever seen us practice as like a unit. Like I think everybody wanted that game so bad. And then we go into Tribuco Hills and get beat like that. I remember there's a picture of me like holding Tofa, and I just felt like seeing that picture now was like a passing of the torch from like you guys, like, that senior class who I learned so much from, to like now passing it to us, us the sophomores. I think that we kind of just took it and ran with it. And 2 years later, something similar.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like basically, like you said, like that whole. I know Coach White was, this ain't about revenge. This is about be here in the present, be here. And in a way, I agreed and disagreed. You know what I mean? Everybody's like that with Coach White. You know what it is. But like, I really felt like all of us, we wanted to win that game, not just for each other, but for the team the year before. Like I really was out there to win that game for Jesse, for Braxton, for for Nick.
Yeah.
For Evie, for Cabral,
Yeah.
Richie, you know what I mean? Like it was really like that.
I remember Villa Park. I played one of the worst games I ever played in my life. I remember thinking to myself like praying like I want a second chance. Like I want a second chance. Like I know I can do better. And then sophomore year, I think I kind of snuck up on a lot of people. And I remember like the first few plays, like they ran the ball on us kind of heavy my freshman year. But those first few plays, I remember sophomore year, like they started trying to run the ball, and like we weren't having it. And I just remember like the game felt different than it did freshman year. I remember it was such a violent, like physical game. Like we obviously want to be physical. We played in the trenches, but like that game, I remember being so physical and being so furious the whole game. Like, nah, like we're not losing this game. It just felt like that was a game where like everybody like agreed. Like obviously everybody felt we were gonna win every game, but that game was more like you're not, like we skunked them. It was like you're not beating us.
I mean, we won 14-0, right? Something like that.
It was one of those grinded out games, and I just, Jalen had a pick, Movie had a pick to end the game. Like we was running through the offensive line. Like it was one of those games where I was like, yeah. And after the game, just being tired the next day, we being like, yeah, like we weren't losing that game. Just seeing the look in everybody's eyes, like, yeah, I knew there was no way.
No, absolutely, man. Shout out to all my brothers out there. Whatever you're doing, hope you're doing well. Hope you're achieving whatever it is. And we do, like you said, we have a lot of players still playing ball, and I'm trying to get as much possible on this show. And I know we're gonna work something out with Coach White, Coach Goo, Coach O. They're all gonna have an episode as well. But let's talk about the mindset of being. I mean, like you were literally put in a situation, to like just like many different things, like me and you face the same thing, right? We were always considered a little bit too short, to go on to like that next level, but like it didn't bother you, like you went out there and did whatever you wanted to do, basically, like there's a lot. I really wanted to touch this episode because I mean, like we just said, being the statistical leader on one of the most interesting programs probably that's been around the last 20 years, to now where you're, we'll get into a little bit later, but you're being one of the top prospects in your conference, in your division, and going forward, you're only a junior, but like how difficult and like how, I'm trying to think of the word, how like forward thinking do you have to be to like, I'm gonna get it done no matter whatever they're telling me?
So you said something earlier that it didn't bother you. No, it did. It definitely bothered me all the time. I remember I remember just thinking to myself, like, you know, it always crosses your mind if I was 2 inches taller, if I was 3 inches taller, or watching these kids, I'm like, that kid's not better than me. And like, even now, like, I went to go work out with some guys the other day, and I was like, yo, these kids aren't better than me. And they're not even bigger than me. Like, now I'm like 6 foot, like 240. And like, these kids aren't bigger than me. They aren't better than me. They're not stronger than me. They're not faster than me. You're just taller than me. And I think, you know, obviously, it's a lot of faith in the Lord and like trying to like, you know, stay humble, but at the same time understanding that like I'm from Southern California. I played against the best of the best. I've seen the best of the best my entire life since I was 5 to 18. And at some point, you got to look at other people and like not like compare like what they don't have, like what I do have. And it was a lot of forward thinking. Like for me, it was like not do or die. It was like you're not going to stop me from making this play type of thinking. I think people really underestimate like the work that was put in behind the scenes for me to feel that way. Like you reap what you sow. I firmly believe that. And I think the idea was that, all right, I'm short, sure. But when you turn on the tape, my tape is going to be better than these other kids when you turn it on. Like that's just a simple fact of the matter. Even to this day, I feel the same way. Like when you turn on my tape is going to jump out and it's going to be better. And then not even just the tape, but the production is going to be better than these guys too. I think senior year I had like 23 and a half sacks. And I just remember having a conversation with my dad after like the Warren games, the third game season. And the Warren coach used to coach at Poly. And he said, your son never played D1. And I was just thinking to myself, like, yeah, okay, but I'm still better than every guy you've coached at my position. And you're not going to tell me no differently. And I had a season for the books. So I think it was like more so like I know that when you turn on the tape and we turn on the numbers and when you check everything and like check the 25 test and like check the shuttle and check all these stuff, like sure, I'm not 6'5" and I'm not 290 pounds, but when you check everything else, like everything else is gonna match up. And so, you know, you gotta be twice as good to get half as far. Well, I'm about to be 4 times as good as the next guy you put in my position, and we're gonna figure it out from there.
No, man. I mean, absolutely, bro. And another thing, like I'm pretty sure you agree with me, is when we're on that field, I don't care what race, whatever height, whatever weight, speed, you're not gonna beat me. You know what I mean? Like have that mindset. Like for anybody that feels like they're undersized, anybody that feels like they're being overlooked, like all that stuff starts before the field. Like Seti was saying about like the weight room, putting the field work in. But when it comes to that field, like being on that game day, being between those, I mean, especially inside the trenches, like, no, you're not gonna beat me. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure you have the same mindset as well.
Yeah, I think that was a big understatement. Was like, yeah, you're not gonna beat me. And you also gotta, competition matters. That matters for sure. But I think, people take too much into people look at the stars and the rankings and who he's this and he's this. Best player we ever played was Quentin Pounds. The dude was a 3-star. He was supposed to be nobody. And the first play he got the ball, first play of the game, took an 8-yard touchdown to the house. And I was like, oh, this dude's different. And Eric Berry's in that conversation too. Second best player I ever played. Kid was not ranked. He had like some D1, some FCS offers, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the FCS. And like, you look at these kids and like, yeah, why are you seen differently than the kids who are like 5-stars? And I remember playing Eric Berrier and then playing like quarterback like Jack Sears, like Chase Garbers, guys who were like highly ranked and went to like the Elite 11. They're all talented, but like EB just like was a different level of talent. Or like playing it, like I remember we played Edison my junior year, and their tackles were better than the San Clemente tackle. And not that the San Clemente tackle wasn't talented, but he had like committed to Utah, and I don't remember where the 2 tackles from Edison were committed to at all. Or like playing Yorba Linda, and they had a tackle there who was talented. Went to get like it's just the levels of talent like are different, and it's just more so. It's not about the hype. Like the hype always fades, and that's been very clear. In watching some of these like highly ranked guys like not make it, or you see guys like, oh, he was a 5-star in high school, and like now he's like a 7th-round draft pick. Like that's all well and good, but you still got to put the time in. Like I got to put the time in, and we'll see each other there. And when we see each other there and we compete, it's been harder. I had to get it through the mud, and nothing that's worth having comes easy. So we're gonna see.
No, absolutely, bro. Like that is a quote I live by. You know what I mean? Nothing is gonna come easy in life. And if you want something to be, be successful, you want something that could last, it's not going to come easy. It's not. You're going to have to put work in one way or another. But on that note, we're going to switch things up a little bit. It was great talking a little bit about the past. You know, It was awesome. I always, every time I meet up with a brother, talking to one of my brothers, that's one of the first things that gets brought up. And it's always a great conversation. But we're going to switch to our entertainment side of the podcast. Everybody, people like this, this side of the podcast because, we have a little bit of odd questions and a little bit of, I like to generate the questions to fit the guest, but also put the guest on a spot. So for this week, I got 3 questions for you, and we'll get into it right now. All right.
Got it.
All right. So for the first question, I'm gonna go with this, right? Since you said you were a basketball player, right? And people that know Seti was a hooper, was a baller. Who is the GOAT in the NBA history?
I'm gonna go Lakers. I'm gonna go Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So like his even in the history of basketball, nobody really matches his resume. I think people sweep that under the rug. It didn't look pretty. It wasn't. Well, it was when he was younger. Watch the highlights and watch the tape. He was dope. He was super athletic. But when he got older, he got goggles. It looked awkward. The sky hooks awkward. But he has every accolade you could ever have in basketball. So I got to give him some credit. And he was, doing a lot of things for the community. So like I got to give him some credit and shout him out. I think Kareem's the GOAT.
Okay, who catches him? If there's anyone to catch him.
You know what? I think he's tier 1, and in tier 2, I'm not a big MJ guy, but I got to be respectful to his accolades. And The Last Dance showed me a lot about his mindset. The man grinded. So him. I'm not really a big Kobe fan. I know I'm a Lakers fan, but like Kobe was never like my favorite player was always like Derek Fisher on those teams. But you gotta respect him, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Magic. You gotta give those 5 guys a fair shake. And then to round it out, I would go like Steph, Zeke, and like Shaq, and like Hakeem Olajuwon would be like the next 4 after that.
For sure. And then I guess from this side of basketball, who are the younger guys you think is going to take that torch, or maybe they have already taken that torch?
I'm a Giannis guy. I think when he plays without fear, man, I think that's the vast difference between like him and like a guy like Ben Simmons. Both are like equally talented, but like the Mamba mentality was essentially, if I had to give Kobe credit for one thing, it was the man was fearless. He was going to put the work in and let the chips fall where they may. I think Giannis embodies that perfectly. I think Ja Morant is also a key guy to look up at. Small school guy, came through all the work he put in. Obviously, Luka Doncic is going to be dope for the next 10 plus years, Lord willing. Nikola Jokic, I go Dame. He's not a young guy, but he's
Ice Trey.
Yeah, I was gonna say Trae Young too. Trae Young surprised me. That whole, people saying he can't really lead a championship team, but he surprised a lot of people, and he definitely surprised me.
For sure. So we'll go into our next little topic. Who's gonna win the Super Bowl this upcoming year? Who's gonna win it?
I'm gonna go sleeper pick. I'm gonna go Russell Wilson in Seattle.
That is a sleeper pick right there.
Yeah, I think people are really underestimating how tough the NFC West is, and like I get Matthew Stafford playing for the Rams, and they're gonna be a good team, and hopefully the 49ers don't have the injuries, and the Cardinals got AJ Green, and they still got that Chandler Jones situation reportedly they got to work out, but I think Russell Wilson in the Seattle Seahawks will do it. I think Bobby Wagner and that defense will get back to form like how they were back in the day. Maybe not at that level, but I think they'll be.
Who are they beating?
Good. In the NFC Championship?
The
I think they'll beat in the NFC Championship. It'll be Seattle versus Tampa Bay. And then I think AFC Championship, I'm going to go – I don't know, man. Lamar Jackson's my favorite player. I'd have to see the tape. But if I have to go straight off rosters, I'm going to go in the AFC Championship, Kansas City, clearly. And I'm going to go with the Titans.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the way they play. If Bud Dupree comes back healthy, I think that'll be a team to beat. I would say the Steelers, but the problem is I don't know how their offensive line is going to hold up. I think the Steelers are always dangerous. The Ravens, the Bills, the Cleveland Browns, and I think it's going to be Kansas City versus the Seattle Seahawks. I think Kansas City is going to pull out a close one.
Ooh, I don't know, man. But that's like saying like a Braun pick. Oh, Braun's gonna be there. Like that's Kansas City for the next as long as Mahomes is there. Basically, it's like they'll be in the conversation.
And if they trade, hopefully they trade for Xavier Howard because he's not happy with the Dolphins. See how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see where he ends up. I know a couple of teams been thrown in that conversation, and he's a player that gets on a team that's maybe on the verge of being like one of those bubble teams that like let's say the Browns get him, or let's like a team that's a one player away from really being like crazy. Like, all right, yeah, they're in there. You know what I mean? If I had to give you my four, I like it's biased, but I just think I think it's gonna be Steelers Ravens in the AFC. Um, I just think both those defenses have what it takes to slow down Kansas City. I think that's what it's gonna take. You're gonna need a great defensive game, and both those teams bring pressure. Both those teams have a legit secondary. Um, and
I'll give you Steelers because I feel like they can get after him with four, and they have Minka Fitzpatrick, so they can switch up their coverages. The Ravens lost Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon, so I wouldn't say them because I don't know how they're going to get after the passer with only because remember when you play one of those great quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like Patrick Mahomes, like I just think so you got to be able to get after them with only four. You can't be blitzing them where they're going to murder you on the back end. But I agree with the Steelers if their running game is anything. If they have a running game, like they're always a dangerous team.
Well, for me with the Ravens, I just think like very, very much like Tennessee is if they have their offense clicking, they don't need to pass the ball. They, you know what I mean, with Lamar, with I forgot who they had. They just got rid of Ingram, but the I think Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins, they got over there. You know, they have a two back Gus Edwards and Dobbins. You know what I mean? That duo with a factor in Lamar, you play in Baltimore. That's going to be a tough team to get off the field. So in that way, it's more of the offense playing defense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If they can keep Kansas City off the field, dude, Baltimore's a great team. I mean, we see them twice a year, and I mean it's been there before. You know, the best team in the AFC North. My belief is the best team in the AFC North has what it takes to go to the Super Bowl every year. Mm-hmm. And then NFC, of course, Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be Tampa and Green Bay again. And but don't sleep on any team from the AFC West. The NFC West. The Niners come back healthy. They're probably one of the top teams. The Rams just got Stafford, Russell Wilson, and even the Cardinals. So I mean, it's going to be a fun NFL season, and we got a lot of content coming forward for that. But to our last question is a non-sports question. It's going to be a interesting take. I want to see because I know you watched these. You watched them. Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon?
I'm gonna go Nick. Nick got the GOAT. They got SpongeBob, but I think Cartoon Network has more shows that are like variously better. I think because SpongeBob and like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron put those shows over the top. But the quality's been kind of trash lately for Nick. They have one of my favorite series, Ninja Turtles, is like a reboot in 2012 that I really liked. But other than that, lately the quality's been kind of trash. But Cartoon Network is just like a steady thing that you go to like over the years. Since I've been alive, it's just always gonna have you always have 2 to 3 quality shows. Where Nick will have like 3 quality shows, and then like 5 years later, you're looking and it's like they're making episodes of SpongeBob, and everything else is just not up to snuff. But I'm gonna go with Nick anyway.
Yeah, man, Cartoon Network got I think during at least our older ages, growing back in the day, hand in hand. It was a battle. Nick Cartoon Network throwing us some heaters all day. But I think we got a little bit older, man. I like those Cartoon Network shows, Gumball was up there.
Yes, bro. I love Gumball.
What was it? Adventure Time was up there. The regular show, bro. Regular show is hilarious.
There's some good shows. There's definitely some good shows. But I'm going to just stick with Nick.
For sure. Hey, I respect it. Shout out to Nick. But on that note, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking Cedi playing at Kent College and then playing at Bentley University. And we'll see what Cedi has going on right now and upcoming this season. We'll be right back. Use promo code SIDELINE10 to receive 10% off all of your graphic design needs, logos, pictures, business cards, anything that you need. Contact Matthew Cifuentes at Matt2Cifi. All right, welcome back to the Centerlocked show, and we're sitting right here with the one and only Cedric Dashiell. And before we took break, we were talking a little bit about Cedi's history with Buena Park High School and how young Cedi is a Nickelodeon for lifer. But now let's get back into what's going on in your current situation. But before we get there, actually, you took a different route from most, I guess, athletes, right? You went down the prep school route and you went to Kent. I guess kind of tell everybody about what that situation was like, and that decision going to there was like.
So everybody remembers that seeing, sophomore year, junior, getting offers and stuff. I was kind of like late senior year. I think I had like a lot of D2 offers. I remember Montana State came into the picture late, but I remember Harvard, Yale, and the Ivy Leagues were like recruiting me like really heavy. And that was like a big deal around campus. And everybody's like, oh, where are you going to school? Harvard, Yale. And I remember I took official visits to Harvard and Yale. And, due to some poor decisions that I had made academically and otherwise, I just had to go do a prep school year at this place called Kent, small school in Connecticut. It was probably the most important year of my life thus to date. I think I needed that extra year to mentally and emotionally mature. Not ready to really go to college yet. And so I did the prep year at Kent. It was supposed to help my grades so I can get into like some of the Ivy League schools, but didn't end up working out that way. God had a different plan. And now I'm at Bentley University. I can firmly say this was the best place for me. Looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking. You guys had some pretty respectable alums, and by most, it's a great academic school. You're not just there for football. You're there for your academic side as well, and that's a huge. I mean, once you're done, that's going to be a huge asset. As you're coming from a group of you're going to be an alum of a prestigious university. But so going to a prep school, right, you probably didn't see yourself there, right? Like that was, like how did you get through that?
Yeah, obviously, I think so. It was, the juxtaposition is crazy. So sophomore year, you guys signed, and it was 7 of you guys doing a signing day ceremony, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't wait for that to be me. And then graduating senior year, having to go to prep school and having to rekindle that whole, like, now I got to do this all over again thing. I think at first it was hard. There's a lot of conversations with my dad. But once you I think one thing I learned is you have to accept responsibility for your actions, for, like, the choices you've made. And I think once I accepted that, like, I had put myself in a situation, it made it a lot better. And then I ended up making some really good friends out there, meeting some really, really good people that were really good to me and helped further my career and, like, also helped to make me, like, a better person. And I think that was what really helped, because when I got to Kent, I didn't really want to be there. Then when I left, it was like, it felt like a second home. Like, it was one of those things where, like, I felt like, I had not invested so much, because only being there for a year, you don't really invest too much, but I had invested a piece of myself. And I still see some of my friends from prep school. I still talk to some of the coaches from the prep school, and it's like, just a huge part of, like, why I am the way I am now.
No, I mean that's awesome, brother. I mean, really, you being able to realize that, take the situation and look at it from what's really going on and assess it, and to make the most of it and to, be where you're at now, and we'll get into it right now, is awesome. So you left Kent, and when did you know, was Bentley like always there, or when did they pop up in the picture?
They popped up in the summer after I graduated high school. So that summer I went to like a few camps on the East Coast, and they popped up. And I remember going to a camp, and Coach Maines, shout out to Coach Maines if he sees this. He saw me at a camp, and like I was like performing pretty well. I don't even remember. I remember he was talking to me because I was the 220. I did the 225 test. It was at a Yale camp. The Yale camp coach wanted me to come just see me live in action and like pads and like helmet. And like, I remember just like flying through the camp, like it was like easy. I've been going against high level competition my whole life. This camp was pretty easy. But they had a 225 test, and I go. People are trying to do it. People getting like 4, 6. One kid, I think the most the kid got was like 10. I'm like, I could do 185, but I do 225. I know I can do. I haven't practiced, but I know I can do at least I know I can do more than 10. So I'm going over there, and then Coach Maines is like, "Oh, you think you can do this?" And I was like, just give me a lift. We'll see how many reps I get. I think I did like 20, 22, 23 after not practicing, and I think he was just so shocked. And after, had a pretty good day at the camp, played pretty well. And after, he just kind of talked to me. And that was in like June. So then December, not even December. Yeah, December rolls around, talking to the head coach, one of the offensive line coach, and Coach Maines I'm in constant contact with. And Georgetown kind of came into the picture late. And they were like, if you don't go D1, like, you always have a home here. I remember visiting Georgetown. Like, I really wanted to go to Georgetown. It's D1 school. It's a great school. It's like high end. I remember going there, going to visit. I was connected with the players really well. And the head coach is like, "Yeah, we're going to see how things work out." And being like, "Okay, then why I'm on an official visit?" And the next week was my Bentley official visit. And I remember going on the official visit. And you know how you just know? I feel like everybody has this feeling where they just go somewhere, like you just know. Kind of just stepped on the campus. And our starting quarterback now was actually my official visit host. I stepped on the campus. His name was Stern. And, he welcomed me, and then I just felt like one of the guys. And then I talked to the coaches, and it just felt like home. I was like, committed. I remember I committed at the meeting with the head coach. I was like, yeah, this has been a long process, but I'm done with the process. I'm going to come here. Like, this is home for me. And he was, all right, then go tell your dad. And I called my dad and told him. And I was like, you sure? I was like, yeah. And that was right around the time my dad wasn't really helping me, he wanted to guide me and to make the best decision for me, but he wasn't telling me where to go. And I was like, yeah, what do you think? He was like, this is your decision. You're learning to become a man. You're a young man right now. So you're going to make the decision on your own. And I remember my mom trying to influence me to Georgetown, but being so stuck, like, nah, Bentley's home. And so that's how I ended up at Bentley.
I mean, that's a unique situation, but it's seen how many times all over. But before we get into, I guess, the positive, the good things that have been going on with Bentley, let's talk about something that I know you must have went through, and it's just a matter of fact, being away from home, going to, like you said, across the country, the East Coast. I was in Chicago. You're even further. You're in Boston. How did you get through the mental side of that, not being around your family, not being around your loved ones, your friends, and then, just being literally like on the other side of the country?
I think it really just depends on the people that you come into contact with when you get on the other side. It was hard. It's definitely hard not to see my family for so long. It's definitely gotten easier over the years as I've grown and as I've met more people and have become friends with more people and developed closer bonds. But when I first got to Kent and to Bentley, it was definitely hard. You come in, it's a new environment, you don't know anybody. And so you just kind of have to adapt. It's like sink or swim, where you have no choice but to adapt and to start trying to make friends and branch out there and push yourself out there. And it's not for everybody. It was definitely hard. A lot of nights where I was like, yo, this is hard. Like, especially when you go to camp and you really don't know anybody. It's just football. Like, not only am I competing out here, but afterwards, I can't go home. I go back to my room and so it was hard. I think, just praying, a lot of prayer, a lot of reading the word, and also just like, putting myself out there, talking to my teammates. Like, I have a couple teammates that are from Florida. I have a couple teammates, especially at Kent, I had teammates that are from all over the place. You get to talk to those kids, and you find you have stuff in common, and then you just become friends. And after that, it's all she wrote.
Absolutely, man. It's like I tell everybody, being homesick is that's gonna be there, always gonna be there, But what makes a person is how you battle through it and how you push yourself through adversity. Because there's gonna be every excuse in the book. It's cold, it's far, you don't have any money, like all those things. Like those are legit reasons. You know what I mean? Like I'm not here to say, oh, those don't matter, but those are things you can push through. And shout out to you for having the mental and I guess spiritual guidance that you needed to get through that adversity. But let's talk about some positive things. Let's talk about some interesting things I did not know about you, Seti. What's up with this? I guess first team all league, right, or all conference, right?
Yeah, something like that. So sophomore year, I was like first team all region, like all New England. And I was first team all conference. And then I think that was it. There's probably other stuff I'm missing. I don't know. I was just told this. I had a decent season. I should have had a better one, bro. When I tell you I missed so many plays, like not even just like missed plays, but like not only am I there to make the play, but like I'm there to make the play. I should have made the play. If you watch the film, I wrapped the guy up and then just missed it. It was just like that. But God bless me. I had a decent season and we won our conference, and we had a few guys make it to all conference teams. It was a good year. It was really. We started off slow, and I started off really slow. And then the last 5 games, I picked it up, and we picked it up as a unit, and we got a lot done in the conference.
So you win conference. Is there like a playoff system or like
yeah,
what?
because we started so slow, we didn't. So okay, I'm just explaining. So yeah, it's like the FCS playoffs, but like a little bit more in depth. There's like a lot more teams that make it. We lost our first game on some crazy, like, bro, like it was crazy. Like, we lost our first game to who we play this year, Westchester, which I'm really excited for, September 3rd, at 6 p.m. We lost our first game. We were up the whole game 7-0. They're like the number 9 team in the country. And then they scored a touchdown, so it's 7-7. And I promise you, I kid you not, I missed like 5 tackles for loss and like 3 sacks that game. Like I could pull up the tape and like there's just so many plays that I missed. And so the last play, here's how we lost the game. Like third to last play, we run a stunt. I got a 1-on-1 with the right tackle. I beat the right tackle. I hit the quarterback, slide down, take him down, and just let him go. And he takes the ball and runs like 35 yards. And they run another play, like a little fade to the end zone to like the 25 or the 30. And I had to like hit it. Then the coaches do a substitution. I come out for one play. They run the ball 25 yards to the end zone with 8 seconds left, 14-7, we lose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like if I made the sack, then they're on the 35, they're on our 35. We win they're on their 35. And, we go into overtime with maybe we don't have all the momentum, but we had like overall as a unit, we forced 5 turnovers that game and still lost. So like, but
you guys
now,
are ready to go.
Yeah, like now it's like no, we're not playing. Like we have to be like every game to get into the playoffs is a must win, and we can't really lose because the way the NCAA views our conference is like it's relatively like not the best. So they are going to take teams from a stronger conference over us. So we got to win every game. So that's what we're preaching right now.
So I'm pretty sure that's a goal for you guys this year. What are your goals? Like, what are you? Maybe some individual, maybe some team. Give us a little bit of both. What do you got? What's your plan, or what are your goals for this season?
So as a team, obviously win as many games as we can. Conference, national championship, all that. Obviously, we didn't get that done. Playoffs, that was the one thing we talked about. If you guys don't know that I'm a captain. I'm a captain of the team, and one of the things we talked about was like we're not just here to compete. Like in the past, we were like, oh, we're gonna compete. Like, no, we're here to dominate. We're here to win every game. We're here to win every game going away. Like, make sure people know we're the better team. So win our games, conference, national championship, win the dance, celebrate on home field. Individually, I want the D-line, our D-line, to be the best D-line in the country. Like, I think if we play well enough and we play that well, there's not a team that can beat us. And we definitely have the talent to do so. But I think because, being a captain and being the captain of the D-line specifically, like, I want this unit to be feared and dominant throughout the year. The most violent unit, the most physical unit. Like, teams don't rush for more than 90 yards against us. They don't have these crazy play action with these A-step drop because they know we're bringing heat with just 4 guys. Like, on some, like, New York Giants from, like, 2007, like, you're not, like, this is how, or the Bucks in the playoffs last year. Like, this is how it's coming at you. You know how it's coming at you, and you're not going to stop us. So I want the D-line to be the most dominant unit in the country.
That's awesome. I love to hear it, man. We'll stay with Bentley, but we're switching to, I guess, a different side of the Bentley experience. Is what's your major?
Yeah, I'm a marketing major with a minor in law. I might pick up another minor if I could, see if I can take a few classes in this year and see how that goes.
What are some goals for you once your playing days are over?
Like I said, I want to go pro. That is a good question though. I think I want to do something in like sports media marketing or like. First of all, don't follow me on Twitter. There's a lot of rants, a lot of debates.
Follow Seti on Twitter. I promise.
Please don't follow me on Twitter.
If you like to argue on Twitter,
something like that, like being like in like a sports debate. Like, I love that stuff. I think that's dope. I think especially like for like football and like topics I know. Obviously, I don't really know other topics like baseball, but I'd love to get to know the sport more. But topics like that, like, I want to be able to go back and forth with. I think that'd be like a dream job.
no, I mean, you're gonna have. Just keep doing you, bro. I mean, you're gonna have whatever it takes to get into that field. I mean, you're gonna have your college degree, you're playing experience, and you're just like many of us raised in sports. You are well versed in the sports world. We know stuff. Like, I tell everybody, I'm like, dude, I was watching Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, but dude, I was watching Sports Center. I know stats that I shouldn't know. I just know
exactly.
random little things that I'm like, oh yeah, well, did you know that, back in 2004, the Dallas Cowboys, just like different things, random things, you know what I mean?
People don't understand. I just be like, I'll be having debates like with my brother, like we'll be talking, or like I think the other day I was arguing with somebody like, oh, Julio Jones is like still like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, he hasn't been like the same. I'm like, bro, he made a Pro Bowl 2 years ago and had 1,300 receiving yards, and like 8 touchdowns. And like, how do you know this? And like, I don't know, but I know it off the top of my head. And I know that I'd be good at it. So that would definitely be a dream job.
Awesome, man. I'm awesome. I'm proud of you, man. From just knowing you, from you being an 8th grader to now, man. Like, I'm a big fan of like not as long, but as well with all our brothers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supporting you in everything you do, man. But with that being said, you're a busy man. We gotta wrap things up, so we're gonna be transitioning to the conclusion of our episode. But our fans also love this part of the episode because we're gonna get a little bit closer to you. All right. So I sent you 2 photos, right? And you did not look at those photos. Everybody knows these are 2 pictures that I selected and I sent to Seti through DM. And Seti,
Yeah.
first thing I want you to do, man, is take a look at photo 1 and tell me what that means to you, represents to you.
Wow. Okay. So photo 1, the captain thing. I think it represents, me becoming like a better leader. It really meant a lot that because our teammates voted, and it really meant a lot to me that my teammates like voted me as a captain. I know I had a bunch of guys come to me and say, "Yo, like, I picked you to be a captain, along with whatever other guy they voted for," because you can only vote for 2 guys. And I think, I know my parents are definitely proud, and that means a lot to me too. But I think, looking back, like, I was a captain in high school, but I didn't really know what that meant. And now, like, being a leader, being a different mind, I think it means a lot to me that my teammates, really just look up to me, and they're like, I want you to like lead me. So I really take pride in that, and I want to do the best job I can to make sure I not only lead them, but like, show them like leadership is like more than just like me standing out and yelling at you and telling you go pick this up or go pick that up.
No, man, you're absolutely right, man. That's a big thing. I was too a captain in college, and it is different. You know what I mean? It's players that are a little bit older, and for them to vote you in, for them to feel like you know what I mean, you're somebody that they trust, somebody that I don't want to say look up to, but somebody that has, they are looking to you to help them out, whatever it's playing, whether it's behind the scenes stuff. Congratulations on that. And then take a look at the second picture, man. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so the second picture is of me and my brother. I didn't even know you had that picture. That picture is crazy. So for the context for that picture, we're in Colony, Ontario. So for more context, the basketball program was terrible for like my class got there. And I just remember my sophomore year, your senior year, you guys going to basketball games and like hyping it up. And like the basketball program was not only respectable, but we were pretty good my sophomore year. But my junior year is like where everything took off. Like now we had expectations. And the expectation were to go deep in the playoffs. We made to make the semifinals. That was the third round. That was the quarterfinals. And that game was against Colony of Ontario. I don't know if it was Colony. It's Colony High School, and it's far. And that game was packed out. And I remember just one of the pictures, me and my brother walking side by side. But before the picture, it was like a defensive lapse. And you playing with somebody for so long. I've been playing with my brother for years. And we talked, and I'm yelling at him, yo, bro, like, you gotta like cut that off. Like you can't get the key. And I was like, no, but like I saw this. I'm like, no, like it doesn't matter. Like he can't. And we're just going back and forth. And we just walked back to the huddle. I think it was a beautiful moment because we had just like gotten to take a little like not a spat. Like it was like, oh, like this is the defensive adjustment we need to make, and we need to make it now. I think that picture is he's my road dog. That's my best friend. That's how we talk about everything. We have a lot of things in common, a lot of things different. But I know that that's one guy that I can count on. Obviously, you have other friends, but like that's my best man at my wedding, and that's gonna be somebody like when it's all said and done, that I know I can count on no matter what happens in life.
Yeah, shout out to Cam first off.
Yes, sir, little bro.
Little Cam Dash. Where's he at again? Said he's at
San Diego Christian College. My boy's a hooper. About to have a good season this year. Lord willing, I know he's putting in the work right now. I'm excited to see how he plays out.
Shout out to Cam once again. Ball out this year. So the next thing is I have 4 names for you, or not just names, but 4, you'll get it when I say it. I want you to think of whether it's a one word or a short phrase, but like I want the immediate, the immediate answer when I say these 4 things. All right.
Got it.
First one is your parents.
Love. I think they love me very much. Love each other.
Second name is Coach James Googly Mana.
Go get the bags. Oh, everybody don't know. That's a reference to Giannis. And I think another word would be precision. Another lie from him. Knowledge.
Shout out to Coach Goog too, man. We love you, man. Always putting in that work in for us. And, when you're old, we'll drive you around like you drove us, just pay it back.
Man.
And then the third one is Coach Kavanaugh.
Trust. I think he took a leap of trust on me, being not a small town kid, coming from Buena Park, California. I really know this kid. Kid was kind of far, you haven't seen him play, and it was cool. So trust.
All right, and then the last one, Cedric Dashiell.
Fun. Just a fun guy. Just the Lord has blessed me with a lot. Trying to enjoy what he's blessed me with, and I just no reason to sweat. I know that he has a good plan for me, and he's been blessing me. So I'm just out here having fun, enjoying the moment. As my dad says, always look for your goals, but don't be afraid to stop and smell the roses and be thankful.
Absolutely. All right, Seti, where can everybody find you, or what's the best way to get in contact with you, or if people want to know more about you, what's the where they can find
you? Unfortunately, it's Twitter, but Twitter is just a hodgepodge of my takes and stuff. Facebook is also good. My parents, my dad especially, they post stuff on Facebook, but you can look for me on Facebook. IG solid, not really like a big IG guy anymore. I used to be, but if you hit me up on IG, I'll definitely respond. And like, anybody who needs to reach me has my number. And if you can't reach me and you feel like you need to, and you don't have my number, then, definitely get in contact with me and figure it out. And, I'm always like a phone call away for anybody that needs it. But those are probably the best methods, I think.
Yeah, I'll list those usernames below. So you guys can if you do want to get in contact with Seti, you can go ahead and message him. But Seti, last question of the day is, I need your help. All right, this is a trick question. Okay, it's not a trick; it's a two-part question in a way. Who do you want to see on the Centerlocked show? But you got to help me get them on the show.
I got a few names. We talking about athletes or just people in general?
I mean, I want to do whoever Seti believes that will be an interesting guest.
An interesting guest. Definitely got to get. This is a hard question. There's a lot of interesting people. I got 3 off the top of my head. You probably should get Ryan. I can get Ryan to do one. Anthony Del Torre, another one. And then sleeper pick, my boy Angel Martinez. Yes, sir. Angel. We got to get my boy Angel on here. That'd be a fun episode for you guys to do.
Yeah, man. Hey, I think he got his own little shoe company going on right now. I want to say it's Orange OC Flight or something like that. I don't want to mess it up so much, but shout out to that. Shout out to everybody else. But Seti, man, appreciate you, man. This was a great time. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You're in a whole different time zone, and hey, man, appreciate you for coming on, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Always happy to help out a brother, a friend. I've been watching your shows, seeing the good work you put in. I'm happy for you. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this time.
Likewise, man. Man, we gotta do it again. Hopefully, we get some. We'll do next time you come on. I promise you, we'll have a little bit more of a debate episode. We'll talk. We'll talk a little bit more about hopefully we have some time. Maybe during your bye week, we can bring you on and we'll talk about what's going on in the NFL and other sports around. Hopefully, some big trades happen in the next couple of weeks, or some big signings happen during free agency. So we'll have some stuff to talk about. But that's it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you, Seti, once again for coming on, and thank you guys for all tuning in. We're up to 316 subscribers, and once we hit 350, our giveaway is going to be posted up. I'm 100% sure you guys are going to be interested in what we got. We got some interesting gifts to give away. So make sure you guys tune in to this episode. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and make sure you guys tune into next week. So long.
Buena Park is in the building. Buena Park? What's the deal? Nothing but the homies out there. Nothing but the homies. What's up with the homies?
Who popped